number 3 in the charts.
Exactly, yeah.
Right, ready?
Yeah. 1, 2.
Hello.
Ready?
Yo. 1, 2, 1, 2,
1, 2.
Checking. Right, ready?
Need more volume in the monitor, man.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to What's on Your Mind. In this panel, we're going to be talking about and challenging the stigma of mental health within the music industry. With me today, I have What's on Your Mind founder, amazing DJ, producer, Turno.
Yes, what's going on?
I have Jenny, the lovely Jenny from Get Ahead, Exit Festival, and many other things you've worked on.
Afternoon.
I have Reese Laidlaw, DJ, producer, owner of my favourite party, BU.
Hello, what's going on?
And I have the lovely singer and songwriter, Mila Falls.
Hello.
So, What's on Your Mind is a CIC which we started at towards the end of last year. And I'm going to hand over to you, Turno, to give a bit more insight.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's good. So basically, what's on your mind? Tragically, I lost my brother to suicide coming up to nearly 2 years now. Like, he was like my best friend, and that was due to a number of mental health issues, unfortunately. But yeah, being a musician, the only way I kind of knew how to really, I suppose, get my emotions out there was by putting it into music. So me and a bunch of guys decided to make a track in his honor, which I've been playing a lot in my sets. The response has been amazing. And yeah, we decided just to kind of come together and maybe make something more of this. And that's why the What's on Your Mind kind of brand come about, really. We did a seminar in Manchester last year, and it was absolutely amazing, man. Everyone showed up. Like, we had Ewan McVicker there, we had Salado, we had DRS, Boo, HeadX. There was loads of artists and brands supporting the movement, and even the people that turned up was really amazing. It really moved a lot of people, and yeah, for us it was amazing. So we've now, like Grace said, we've turned it into a charity, which is great. And like, for me, it gives me some form of peace, knowing that my brother, with his tragedy, unfortunately, has sparked a new movement within myself and us guys to really try and help and open the conversations about mental health and well-being within the music industry. So yeah.
Yeah, we're really excited about where we're going to be kind of taking this brand. I think it's going to be a lot more than just a brand, and panels and a couple of events in there.
Yeah, definitely.
But obviously as well, alongside from starting What's on Your Mind, you're obviously a very successful DJ and producer. And I know that you've kind of, since everything with, your journey to coming to the place where you founded What's on Your Mind, you've really been on a journey yourself with ups and downs and with your mental health and how you cope with touring and dealing with that. So it'd be good to get a bit of an insight from you.
Yeah, for sure. So I think my main, I don't want to call it a problem, but like, whenever something big happens in my life, especially when I lose someone, like, I always seem to not hide my emotions, but I always just seem to work. Like, that's like the way I just, not try and hide it, like, but that's just how I do. So I just really, I suppose the last year has been a struggle, to be fair. I've turned to drink and drugs a lot, I'm not gonna lie, like, and I think subliminally that was making things a lot worse. And I just come to a moment at the end of last year, really, where I just thought, you know what, like, I need to make a change, like, because I'm not happy in myself. Like, I need to really address these issues in my own head. So yeah, I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna cut out the partying. I'm gonna make some real big changes in my fitness, with being a massive one, really. Like, the gym is humongous to me. Like, I go a lot just for my head more than anything. And I just really wanted to make a change, really. Like, I've just started journaling a lot now, which is something I never thought I would do, which has really helped. Like, my missus bought me a thing called the 6-Minute Diary, which is absolutely amazing. If you don't know what it is, check it out. And every day I just literally write 3 things I'm grateful for. It asks you 5 questions a week that are all different, and just to reflect on yourself. And I do think that all these little changes have made a massive difference just in my mental well-being. I think moderation is key here. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to be celibate from drinking that again, but at the same time, I think if you overdo anything, it just becomes too much, and mentally it just has a massive strain. And if you really want to, move forward and I suppose help yourself, you do have to make changes, man. So that's what I've realised massively, and it has helped me massively. I feel like probably one of the best versions of myself at the moment, and that's something I'm quite proud of to say. Like, and I think, all these little changes, like I said, have made a massive change, to my life. And obviously with touring and just the pressures of the music industry, you need to find ways to make yourself back in the room, to center yourself. So, yeah, even like Wim Hof, I don't know if anyone knows about him, but I do the breathing every day, the cold showers, the cold water therapy, all these little things, man, that you just realize that make a massive difference to your well-being, which I'm a massive advocate of. So, if you don't know about any of that, please check it out, because it really does help, just your general self. So, like I said, I feel like a really good version of myself at the moment. I'm going to continue to shout about it and really try and promote it in a good way, because I think a lot of people do get lost in it, and I think, it's massively helped me, man. So, yeah, hopefully someone could take something from that. I appreciate it.
No, well, you're doing amazing. And I think an interesting point you raised, which Reese, we've definitely spoke about, is kind of the struggles with getting that balance between partying and being present. Obviously, you run a party, which, I mean, is an amazing party, but also full of our friends. So it's definitely, hard. But do you find it with where you've kind of gone and now you're in a place, like you were saying earlier, your bookings are coming, you're getting more and more each week, each year, and, how have you find balancing that with everything?
Yeah, I mean, like for example, when you've got a Monday to Friday job and you're there every week, you're going to the same place every week, but you're not kind of doing things that are damaging your body, and, so you don't realise, and nothing really affects you. Whereas when you start playing every single week, you at first you kind of forget that you're working, and you're not treating it as work. So you're going out, and by the time it gets to Monday, you're so tired, and you're just clawing back your week until it gets to like Friday again. And next thing you know, you're out, and it comes to a point where I had to say to myself, right, I can't keep doing this, because I can't keep waking up on the Monday, so tired, or on the Tuesday, and by the time it gets to Wednesday is when I'm back to my normal self. And you kind of learn how to treat it like a job, so you do what you need to do to get your job done, and without, how can I put it, without you still have to learn how to have fun, but it's like having fun in different ways. For me now, the fun comes from leaving a party and feeling like my normal self and being like, wow, that was great. The reaction I have after a set is still the same reaction no matter what kind of state I'm in, whether I've drunk, whether I've taken other things. For me, the best buzz is the buzz that comes from after that set. And I feel like just getting that balance of knowing what is work and what is having fun is like really key. Because especially when you first start getting into it, because it is exciting. You've gone from wanting to play in all these amazing places to actually doing it, and then there is that moment where you're caught up, and then you have to say to yourself, right, enough is enough. If you want to do this for longevity, if you want to do this for a long time, you need to act kind of professional, and then go into the situation not only thinking about what you're going to do that night, but thinking about, how you're going to feel the next day. That's how I kind of get over it, is not think about how I'm going to feel now, or like, if I wasn't in a good place, I'm not going to think about, all right, let me just lose myself now. I now think about how I'm going to feel the next day if I do this,
I think it's so easy to just get lost in the matrix of partying, and I think I've had so many different points in my life, like being a promoter, whatever I've been doing in my work, where you just get so caught up and you actually forget that, like, you're here I'm here to work. A lot of the time, I'm there to work, and I'm off living my best life, doing God knows what. That's going to spiral here. I'm going to stop that. But I think it's definitely, learning ways to balance and learning what works for you is really, really important. And like Mila, you've said to me before that, I don't know, you found a real balance with everything and with what you sort of choose to do on a night out and when you're gigging.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I ever came here was a drum and bass rave, so the vibe was very different to right now. And what's weird for me is if I do a PA or I'm right every day with all different DJs, and the whole point of my job as a songwriter is to make dance music for people having a rave. So for me to be like, I don't drink, I feel weird even saying that now, and ashamed even. And the reason I wanted to come here today was just to be like, I don't drink, and that's okay. Because there's loads of us. I meet them every day in different sessions.
More and more people are just not drinking.
So many, and so many people that have been in the industry for a long time are scared of saying it because of judgment. And it's like, I was in a dark hole. I was grieving. This is why I connected to Turno, because I was like, I know how you feel. My mum isn't alive because of mental health reasons, and that's been incredibly hard to navigate as a single mum, single child on the dole, like no help. And I kind of thought, right, I'm gonna try and do something with my life, and music was my hope. And then I turned to drinking. So every time I'd go and sing somewhere, I would get wasted afterwards. I'd be like, I've smashed it, and I'd have 10 shots. And that was amazing. And I can remember being carried out of venues. And it was just the next day I'd wake up and be like, oh my God, I can't remember leaving the venue. And it's just like, I can't do this anymore. And there was one day, I used to be part of another act of like 3 DJs, some rappers. And it was like, yeah. And they were all into their drugs. And I got so wasted afterwards, I just passed out. And an ambulance picked me up. And I just came round in an ambulance and thought, never again. And I've never, ever drunk again since that day.
That's amazing. Good for you.
My life has changed. It's just gone, dun, dun, dun. It's boring. People are like, isn't it boring? And I'm
It's
like,
not boring, you're
yeah,
alive.
a little bit. It kind of is. It is boring. But if you compare how unhappy I was every day, not even just the days where I was hungover, the days where I was like, I've got this, and I know there's going to be a big party with everyone after, like free drinks backstage, blah, blah, blah. I knew every time, I never knew when to go, this is enough, it's home time. I'd be the one like, we have to go out. We're not going home yet. Where's the next rave? We can't go, it's only 6. I was that person, buying everyone a drink, because I just didn't want to, I wanted to turn my brain off. I really just wanted to not think, because I was grieving and I was in a black hole of pain, and it was killing me. And I honestly think I used my last cat life, and I was like, oh, and just thought, it's done. This is the last day I'm ever going to drink. I mean, I can't say what's going to happen for the rest of my life. We don't know. But for now, it's a bit boring. But I'm happier than that version of me, because she was not happy. I was just really, really struggling all the time. And you put a picture on Facebook, Instagram, smiling. I look at those pictures and kind of shudder, because I knew how I was just in a dark hole. It was just, So my sort of advice to anyone that's thinking, is it possible to do the dance world sober? It's like, yeah, and you get a proper buzz when you're actually present. Like, you're like, oh my God. Like, wow, you can, it kind of is even more powerful for me to remember it all. It's brilliant, yeah.
And do you find there are things you have to kind of implement now? So if you're, like you said, you're putting yourself in the mindset of someone when, I cannot produce or do anything like that. So I'm absolutely just guessing here. But you must have to put yourself in the mindset of a raver and of someone. Or like when you're out, and you're all performing, and, how do you cope with kind of switching off from that, being present in the room, but also like maintaining what is right for you?
Me and Turno just wrote a wicked song with, on a camp we just did with Charlotte Plank smashing it with the singing. And the lyric is about come downs, drinking, partying. I have enough experience. I've got 1,000 nights out. I know how everything ends. Like, I've done all the stuff. So I'm like, just think back to one of my many, many nights out. I've lived it all. It's like, you just remember.
Do you know what, as well, just coming off the back of that week, well, we wrote like 20 songs that week, didn't we, which was crazy, and there wasn't literally a drop of alcohol or any kind of drugs involved whatsoever. So, I mean,
Which was weird.
Yeah,
And I was like, we went out for dinner and everyone had water, and I was like, this is new. This is my kind of crowd.
We've grown up.
That's to certify that, do you know what, like, it does actually benefit you so much more. I mean, you're actually there to get the work done. You're not there to party and celebrate, etc. Like, but yeah, it just for me, that was another moment where I was like, you know what, this is the life, because I'm here to work. If I want to excel myself as an artist, like, I've got to take this stuff seriously, man. And like I say, we done a lot of work that week. Everyone was on job and everyone was on the same page. And when you've got that in the room, then yeah, magic is made. So again, that's another reason I think why. Yeah, like to moderation and right time, right place, etc., is the key. Do you know what I mean?
I think there was always the kind of whole thing as well about it being a badge of honour. You know, the last one standing, the last one chasing the party. I am so guilty of that. But I've seen a real positive shift in the industry in the last few years. You know, artists like yourselves who actually, they want to survive and they want to thrive. And I think, the untimely death of some bigger artists a few years back has actually opened the conversation now and created more awareness around the fact that, it's all right just to nip it in the bud. You don't have to go out and get fucked up and smashed all the time. And actually, it's not cool anymore. You don't want to be that artist or that promoter that's getting scraped off the stage or falling off the stage and being a laughing stock. I mean, it's like you said, it's a job, it's a profession. And, there's no shame in actually putting your hand up and saying, you know what, I'm not interested in being that person anymore. And I think the whole sobriety movement, the whole mindful drinking movement, I think, there's so much more on offer for people that don't want to drink now. All of the big brands are like wisening up to it, and there's some incredible drinks on the market that if you feel weird about not drinking, like if it feels weird that you don't have an alcoholic drink in your hand, you can have something in a glass that makes it look like you do. And like you say, you've not got the headache the next day, you haven't got the shame waking up going, oh my God, what did I do last night? And it's just, it's okay now not to have to get wasted all the time, because it is no longer a badge of honour. It's not cool anymore.
And say something about what you just said there about the drink situation. I noticed last year, that when I travelled around Europe for the first time and not playing, that the UK culture to going out is so different to multiple European cities. I remember the first time I walked into a club in Zurich and I was like, oh my God, I'm the youngest person in here, And like you go to the bar and you've got like club mate teas, you've got all of these alternative drinks rather than the majority of clubs are playing in the UK. It's Red Bull, water or alcohol, or something from the gun. And I really feel like there needs to be a big change in that. There really needs to be a big change in other alternative stuff that you can have, because it's like, and you get a lot of people that there's a big stigma, which is like, I'm too old to go out in the UK. Like, no, you're just too old to go out and batter yourself every week,
Too old to go on a free night bender.
Yeah.
Leave that one at home.
Like, you're not too old to go out and dance, and I feel like this stigma behind, I have to do this when I go out, really needs to change.
It's a cultural shift though also, and I think it's all about awareness, and it's having iconic and people in the media and the limelight being seen to be not drinking and getting smashed, because historically you had all these people in the public eye who were falling out of clubs and falling out of bars, and everyone's like, oh, that's cool, that's cool. It's not. It's really, really not good. And I think now to have artists like you guys on the road in clubs being seen, to be treating it like a profession and not getting wasted, it sets a good message for the next generation and for younger people, because at the end of the day they are more health conscious, and I think they will look at their artists that they aspire, and if they're standing there getting absolutely wasted, it's like, I don't respect that. It's about respect and appreciation, and going out and getting absolutely battered all the time. There is a time and a place for it, and it is all about balance. And we're not saying everyone has to go sober, but if you can't live your life in balance, then maybe it's time to try and kind of, look at it.
For me, I don't want to go on my socials and be like, I'm sober. I've never mentioned it on the internet, because I don't want it, like if you want to be a vegan, cool. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to have a badge on your face going, I'm a vegan and I hate everyone else. Like, my friend is that. But, I've been vegetarian, blah, blah, blah. For me, it's like you can eat what you like, you can do drugs. I don't have any judgment, and I almost don't want it. I don't want to talk about it. Like, this is what a lot of people that don't drink, they don't want it to be a thing. You don't want to be like, I'm not drinking. Do you want to ask me some questions about it? Because every time someone says, I don't drink, why is that then? Oh, you're an alcoholic. Do you want to tell them about it? It's like, not really.
Or are you pregnant?
Yeah, you're pregnant. It's like, anyway, none of this is your business. Just leave me alone. But for me, I'm just like, can it just not be a thing? Can I just be here and not have a beer and you just not ask me why? That's what I would like to change. Like, just don't ask me. Just leave me alone.
But it's like everything, it's dropping the stigma, isn't it?
Yeah.
With mental health generally, it's like, let's destigmatise the topic of alcohol and sobriety. It just needs to be the norm, and it doesn't need to define you. If you don't drink, hey, you don't drink, it doesn't matter.
And I think it's something that, we're really conscious of. So Franco and I are having conversations all the time about what we want What's on Your Mind to be, and the events, we're going to do, in the brand we're going to build, and what we're going to be offering. And, the team, we're working with an incredible team of people, 2 of which have been sober for, done everything and anything under the sun, but also been sober for 10 years now. So, lived life on both sides. And I think, something we've discussed is really having that offering at, something that's missing at an event where it's, you've got your normal bar. You want to go and get a vodka lemonade, cool, that's there. It's still a normal raving night, but there's also a non-alcoholic cocktail bar. Or like we're saying, there needs to be more options, and there needs to also be like less of a stigma around if you went to Printworks and one of those bars was a non-alcoholic cocktail bar, I'd probably go, oh, do you know what? It gets to that point in the night, oh, I really fancy one of those. They look delicious. People probably wouldn't even question it. The problem is that it doesn't really exist at the moment. It's not really something that is out there. But I also think, people are becoming more conscious of, Jenny, I know we talk about this all the time, but burnout, and people have finally seemed to cotton on, I think, in the past few years, that it's not sustainable to live these lives. You will reach burnout. You will just get to that breaking point.
Burnout was only classified as an actual disease in 2019. People didn't know it existed. They didn't know what it was until the World Health Organization actually said, burnout is a medical condition, and this is what it is. And it's, it's everything we've talked about. It's fatigue, it's changing your personality, it's just absolutely frazzling yourself. And, people need to understand it is a thing. You work too hard, you party too hard, you're literally at the end of the line. And unfortunately for some people, they don't catch it soon enough. So I think, collectively it's about all these incredible initiatives, what you're doing, what we're doing, all the brands, all the alcohol-free brands, all these other great, platforms out there. We need to join forces and create this bigger community to shout about well-being and keep people from burning out, because it's, it's a dangerous route to go down.
And I think it'd be, obviously good for you to talk a bit more about Get Ahead as well, because that's something that you've been focusing on burnout since before the World Health Organization.
Well, we were ahead of the curve, weren't we? WHO caught up. Exactly that. I've worked in the music industry since I was 17, traveled the world, spent many, many seasons in Ibiza. I was the poster girl for getting mashup for a very, very long time. Thankfully, and by some kind of miracle, I never actually burnt out myself. But I guess over the years, just seeing how things were changing and how people were starting to become a little bit more aware of what they were doing, what they were putting in their bodies, Grace and I actually worked together at a company a few years back. And I guess, culturally, we were quite ahead of the curve. We were doing stuff for employees. We were looking after them. And we were like, why isn't there more out there for the kind of broader community? We knew that there were charities like Help Musicians and music support, and that we were like, there's got to be loads of other help out there, but nobody knows it exists. So I guess it's a bit of a reaction to that, and the fact that people still weren't talking and opening up, and they were scared to put their hand up and go, do you know what, I'm not okay. So we created a new initiative called Get Ahead, which was the world's first 24-hour festival of the head, and it was dedicated to burnout prevention. And the idea behind it was, how can you learn to live your life in balance and get ahead? Cheesy it sounds. And really it was about looking at who was out there, health advocates, brands, charities. Let's harness it all. Let's aggregate them all together. Let's put them all under the one roof and throw this massive big party that celebrates life. Because you know what? Life is great. It's here to be celebrated. But all too often, we look at the negatives. And I think it was for us, we were like, how can we get all these cool people together, these wicked speakers. We even had like Michael Acton-Smith, who's the CEO of the app Calm, before he got his unicorn, who reached out to us to say like, hey, can I come and speak? Because there is nothing like this, a festival dedicated to well-being and addressing all of these topics. So yeah, we launched it and it was great. And a friend of ours who'd just left a big band wanted to get involved. He went out and put an album together. We set up a record label. And that album still gets streamed every single day, and it's out there, and it's getting that message across to the music industry and the broader industry. And I think that's, we've got a responsibility as people that have worked in the music industry for a very, very long time to help the next generation, because we don't want them to get to their sort of 30s, 40s, 50s and burn out. And unfortunately, we don't want to lose any more lives, because there is help out there, but people just don't know enough about how to get it and where to get it. So that's what we try and offer, same as what you're doing with What's in Your Head, like creating an accessible platform, a go-to that is fun and accessible, and people that want to get involved with and be like, this is cool. I don't mind getting into this safe space and having a dance. And that was what you always say, let's put on our shoes and have a little dance. But that's it. It's like, how can we make well-being like fun for people? Because it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom.
And I think an interesting point you raised is about the next generation. And I think, we are all very aware that as well as, when I was first raving, it was like the era of the Hot Creations, DJs and the IB50. And they were all just absolute wreckheads. And we all thought they were sick. And like, I'd go out and be like, that's, you looked at, I'm sure we all know the sort of DJs I'm referring to here, but not going to name them. But, and it was perceived as really cool, living this like rock and roll lifestyle. Whereas now I think that's not the case. I think they're all still a lot of people are in the same place, 10, 15 years on. And I think on top of all of that, we're now in a place where social media is such a big thing. How many followers you've got, how many, people are putting, you do a wrong mix, it's on someone's Instagram story within, and it could be a simple mess up. And I think we have this extra pressure now, which is really kind of adding to the stresses that everyone's having. But do any of you kind of find, the social media added pressure does make it worse?
Well, do you know what? I suppose you've got cameras on you all the time now, isn't it? So it is. I was
going to say that you can't escape anything now.
You really can't escape it. But I think you're right. What you're saying about like there's a lot more artists now that are being admitting that they're sober, and I think social media aspect is hard. The pressures of it, like you put out what you want people to see of you, etc. But I think ultimately you just have to. Just listen to your body, listen to your mind, like respect yourself, and obviously, just like I say, it's like any profession. You wouldn't go to work at a 9 to 5 off your face, like it just wouldn't happen. You get the sack. So luckily, we can actually drink in our job, but at the same time, it's not to say to abuse it. Something that Simula said on the last seminar we had, which hit different for me. Like he said, if you've got like a broken leg and you ring up your work and say, I've got a broken leg, you don't have to come in, but you can't do the same for a broken mind. Do you know what I mean? So that really hit different for me, man. And I think that's really, really true. Like, and that's why we're doing these kind of things to raise awareness for mental health and to make it not such an alien subject. And I think bit by bit, with everyone coming on board, it is becoming such more of a normal subject to talk about, and I think that's exactly what we're here to do, to try and raise that awareness and make it okay, that it's okay not to be okay, and to reach out. And I think that's the gold mine of what we're trying to do here. So it's really important.
And I think the irony is as well, if everyone was to speak openly like this within the music industry, you actually probably would see that the majority of people are on the other side of the fence. They're not wanting to live this life that they feel like they have to keep up to. It's almost like a weird facade that's just held over people.
Yeah. Well, in 1 week, I'm not going to say names because it's not my right to, but 3 DJs who would play Wembley, big DJs, one severely grieving to the point where he could hardly breathe, and I knew something was wrong because his eyes just looked sad. I was like, are you okay? He was like, I'm not okay. can't find anyone to help me find a counsellor. So I was just like, I just met this guy. Here's some help. So I had my own. I was like, here's who's helped me. Oh my God. And when I'm in songwriting sessions, people generally open up really fast because it's like, right, let's get some lyrics that go deep. So here's my life story. So I'm like a magnet to like, tell me everything a lot. And then a few days ago, another massive DJ who I'm so happy to be like working with, just said his last album, full-on panic attacks from start to finish. So he's got a whole office to pay everyone's wage. Every song has to do well, no pressure. And he was having full-on panic attacks. And I thought, like everyone looks at you thinking you've made it. You're like famous. Like, what? So it's blowing my mind, like working with all these, especially in drum and bass, like all these really big DJs that I've been lucky enough to just meet lately. All of them completely wobbly. And I was like, what? Like, I'm jealous of how like successful you are, and you're at home struggling. Like, it's unbelievable to me, and no one's saying it. Just one-to-one, like never outside that room, and you're like, wow. Yeah. Like for me, it's just, it needs to change. Like you shouldn't be ashamed of that, and they're like, can't say it to anyone.
I was just going to say, when you said about success there, it's funny, isn't it? Because it's like, what does success look like to people? And you just automatically assume that these people, because they're headlining festivals or they're doing their own nights, that they are successful. But actually, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Obviously, the pandemic had such a huge impact on everyone financially, mentally, the isolation. For you guys who are used to being out in clubs, suddenly that all stopped. And I think there still hasn't been enough addressed to address that, the impact that that's had on artists who essentially, your whole career was just like decimated. Obviously, most people got online and, kind of converted and pivoted. But in terms of taking away that kind of social element that you guys, you live, sleep and breathe it, and I think that there hasn't been enough to kind of look at the kind of, we haven't even touched the surface of the PTSD that people are going to have off the back of that. So I think it's really good that you recognise that and recognise it in those bigger artists as well, because everyone's struggling at every level. It's not just, development artists or people entering the industry. And I think it's important to know that, it is people of all different levels and all socioeconomic backgrounds and wherever you come from. Everyone has got their struggles because everyone's got mental health. That's the thing. It's not just certain people. If you've got a diagnosed condition, everybody has got mental health. And that's something that, if you can instill in your head to know that, then maybe it gives you a little bit more confidence to speak up if you're struggling.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think, like we said, there definitely needs just to be more acceptance and more of a conversation around it, because, I think there's a lot of people I know who, whether they are artists themselves, tour managers, are just reaching this point of like, you're always chasing something and you feel like, you don't have time. I mean, we spoke about this earlier, to sometimes even like soak in your own success and stand back and go, oh my God, I've actually just made a hit single, or, I've just sold out 50,000 tickets at a festival, and I've done, you're always so, I think a lot of people at the forefront of their mind, and it's always the next one. And especially in this industry, it's hard to get out of that cycle of you're always chasing something else.
I definitely think like you do lose yourself in the pressures of it sometimes, because like you say, you're always looking for the next thing. That's what I'm saying. The 6-minute diary, the whole gratitude thing for me, even if it's just like, what are you grateful for? My health, my family, my friends, or whatever. It's mad. It starts your day on a great wave. And like, it's true. Like we all have accomplished great things, but because life is moving so fast, you do forget to credit yourself. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes, and yeah, for me, the consistency is the hardest, but also the key of the industry. Like anyone, but you can have a hit, etc. But it's the follow up, and it's the pressure that comes with that, and it's the preparation and the work ethic, etc., etc. Like you dedicate your life to this kind of stuff, and with that comes like you're missing weddings and family events and important moments, which I've made an effort this year to actually block out weekends to hit birthdays and special occasions, because you're never going to get them back again. Life's too short. Like, it's only one weekend. It's typical that you get a booking for Vegas or something that comes in that weekend.
Headline, £10 billion.
But still, like, do you know what it is? You just got to go, do you know what? It's always next year, always another weekend. There's always going to be something. So, yeah, I think it's really important to acknowledge that. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Is there anything else that anyone does to kind of help balance their mental health and tools like journaling?
I think for me, there was like a big period of my life where I thought the way to get successful with music was to always do music, you know, like wake up, music, afternoon music, dinner music, go to sleep music, dream about music, and it was great, you know. But then what I found is music started going like this, but everything else started going like this, you know, relationships with family, relationship with friends, my health, my mental health. And you know, you don't realize that the most important thing is actually looking after yourself. And that is what then allows you and your music to become bigger. The way you think about music, the way you see music, that's what makes that grow. And I found that, I mean, I got put into a situation where I ended up in prison, long story short. But, you know, it allowed me to, you know, have nothing else to focus on but myself, you know, because I couldn't do music. I couldn't go studio. The only thing I had was to be able to listen to the radio, and that was it, you know. But I was able to go to the gym every day. I was able to eat at the same time every day. I was able to study. I was able to read. And when I come out, I'd progressed more musically than I had the whole 3 years before that, where I was trying to chase something. So I feel like the most important thing you can ever do, you know, whether it is music, wherever it's any career, is just focused on your mental self and becoming your best self. And that will allow you to create your best art, is what I was saying.
Do you think having that routine was the thing that helped you? Like, whereas before, like you were saying, you were throwing yourself into everything, doing tons of it, but then you were suddenly forced to have this quite rigid routine. Did you like kind of keep that going when you went out?
Oh, I tried. No, you know what? When I tried to when I come out, and then again I got caught up in life, you know. And then, but what happened? I kind of become conscious of why I was so well when I come out, and now I'm at the point where I am, you know, going to the gym as much as I possibly can. I'm trying to eat as healthy. It's the way what I say to myself is, actions speak louder than words, but intentions speak louder than actions. And basically what that means is that you know what you're doing, you know why you're doing it. And every time you do something, if you say to yourself and ask yourself, why are you actually doing this? You kind of learn to be able to do the things that you really should be doing rather than the things you want to be doing, you know? So things like the routine, it's like, I know that when I do something which is going to be beneficial for me, you know, whether it's short term or long term, I know that's what I should be doing. And I always, like, you never go to the gym. You might not want to go to the gym, but you never leave the gym unhappy, you know, no matter how you're feeling when you go in. And everything you do, whenever it's something you're really meant to do for your sole purpose, you always leave feeling better than you went in, you know. And I feel like that's the real judgment on what you should be doing, is how you feel after, not during, not before, after.
Do you know what, just going off the back of the routine thing, like as humans, I don't think we like change that much. Like, and it takes, like, again, I'm referring to the 6-minute diary. I should be getting sponsored by him, for God's sake. But in there it says, like, to turn a new habit into an actual habit that you do daily, you have to, like, be persistent with it for a good three to 5 weeks. Like, and that's, again, a diary. But like every morning and evening, I fill it out, and just like it just makes me feel good. Same with, like, I've got a nutritionist, because I knew I wasn't losing weight, but I was like, well, I'm eating all right. I'm going to the gym, but I was eating the wrong things at the wrong time. I wasn't even eating enough. That's the thing. And I thought I was. Like, so when I got a nutritionist and they actually educated me about food, now it's just routine. I'm eating for fuel instead of enjoyment, which was quite a hard thing to actually accept. But at the same time, now it's just, like I say, it's just routine. So I feel like I'm performing the best myself because I'm eating the right things at the right time, not feeling fatigued in the studio or forgetting to eat because I've already prepared my meals before. So yeah, the routine for me definitely helped, man. It's just like making something a new habit. Do you know what I mean? I think it definitely massively helped for me the last couple of months, for sure.
Just on the food thing, it's so true. It sounds so cliched, but what you put in is what you get out. I can't believe I just said that.
No, it's so true. It's so true. I had the same thing with water. You know, I did some nutrition test the other day, and it was like, I needed to drink 2.2 liters of water, and I probably drink about 0.5. You know, and I was like, and then I got bought a water bottle, and I saw the size of the bottle, and I was like, I don't remember the last time I've drunk that much water. You know, and it's like, it's just, and it's like the basics that you forget about. You know. Like the very, very basic things. And you start from there and then everything else just comes from it.
I think it's really important as well just to make it achievable for yourself and not to set yourself these insane goals and targets, which you can never, ever do. And that's something I've learned the hard way over the years. I used to go, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to become Wonder Woman tomorrow, and I'm going to be the fittest person in the world. I hate going to the gym. I'm really crap at it. But it's like, if I can get myself there every now and again, I'm like, yeah, well done, I feel chuffed. But just setting yourself achievable goals as well. What is realistically within your capabilities. And I think it's so important. And I think that's why stuff like journaling and your diary and all this kind of stuff is so important because
discount 10% off.
Exactly. Yeah,
you better be watching this, man.
We should get in touch.
One next week.
Sponsor, yeah. But it's making you accountable to yourself, and I think that's it. And if you kind of go against what you're setting yourself, these little achievable goals, you're only letting yourself down. So I think that's it. That's one of my bits of advice, is just be realistic about what you're trying to do with yourself, and don't go like, these are my 20 things on my to-do list today. 3 things maximum.
When me and Tano we did a whole week in the studio, loads of different people. It was like 20 people came and joined us. Every morning he was in the gym, and that is rare. I was like, what?
I thought you were going to say every morning at his journal.
Yeah, I know. I thought that was coming as well, to be fair.
But he said, I've got this plan. I'm going to do this boxing competition, and it was really inspiring to me because I love exercise, but I always think, there's not enough time, we're doing all this, when are we going to fit that in? But you proved to me...
It just sets me up for the day, it's mad.
Yeah.
It gets out, it's a bit of time for yourself, like, even if you do 10, 15 minutes on a treadmill or whatever, like, it just, I don't know, some time for yourself. I don't look at my phone, I just feel prepared. Any anxieties or shit feelings I've got, they just kind of dissipate, and then at the end of it, like you say, you never walk out the gym feeling shit, let's be honest, like, unless you're hurting. But like, still, you feel good about yourself, and that, yeah, you just feel prepared. I feel like it just gets any of that fog out of your head, and then you're like, right, let's attack. And I do, again, another big reason why I think that week went really well.
Yeah, but it's like loads of DJs that eat takeaways, and that's all they eat, and they don't ever walk anywhere. Even like thinking, like I walked here from London Bridge, I was like, do you know what? The steps, they're so super cheesy, but your 10,000 steps, that changes your life. Like I hardly go to the gym anymore, but I managed to walk a lot. And I put on a lot of weight in the first lockdown, way too many burgers. But like now, if I can walk or in a studio for like 10 hours, go out, go somewhere, not just like, well, there's always a reason every day why you can't be bothered. Every single day. I'm tired, I'm this, blah, blah, blah. Just do 10 minutes would be my advice.
You feel so much better.
Wow, I think that's all we have time for today. But thank you all so much for joining us, and thank you everyone for coming along and watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.